Few names in music carry the same weight as Paul McCartney. With well over 1,000 compositions to his name, his legacy is built on melodies that have shaped generations. Yet even for someone operating at that altitude, perfection is never guaranteed. Because the truth is simple. Longevity and creative risk often go hand in hand with occasional misfires. Whether it's Bob Dylan, David Bowie, or McCartney himself, artists who constantly push boundaries will inevitably produce work that doesn't quite land. The real art lies in recognizing those moments and quietly leaving them behind. Still, every now and then, one slips through. When the Beatles disbanded, McCartney was barely out of his 20s. He could have stopped right there and still been immortalized as a legend. But songwriting isn't just something he did, it's who he is. That creative instinct is exactly why he continued making music decades later, even into his 80s, driven by the same restless energy that defined his youth. Of course, not every release has been essential listening. Tracks like For You or Ebony and Ivory have often divided opinion. But surprisingly, neither sits at the very bottom of McCartney's personal ranking. What makes McCartney exceptional is not just his melodic genius, but his instincts. He usually knows when a song is ready to leave the studio and when it isn't. Surrounding himself with trusted collaborators has also helped sharpen that judgment. But there was one moment where, in hindsight, he wishes he had trusted himself more than the voices around him. Artists are often their own harshest critics, and for good reason. No one understands their work more intimately. And in this case, McCartney's initial instinct turned out to be right all along. Had he followed it, he might have kept Bip Bop off Wings' 1971 album Wildlife, a track he would later describe, without hesitation, as the worst song he had ever written. At the time, McCartney was navigating unfamiliar territory in a post-Beatles world. Forming Wings allowed him the freedom to experiment, to rediscover himself outside the shadow of his former band. That spirit of exploration was vital, but perhaps in this case, it came without enough restraint. Musically, Bip Bop isn't entirely without charm. Strip away the lyrics and it offers a light, almost hypnotic groove. But the words themselves, playful to the point of absurdity, turn the song into something far less defensible. In fact, they make Obla Di Obla Da sound almost profound by comparison. Among fans, Bip Bop has never achieved cult status, and no one has been more critical of it than McCartney himself. In a candid 2015 interview, he didn't mince words, bluntly naming it his worst and dismissing its lyrics as outright terrible. What makes the story even more intriguing is that he disliked the song from the very beginning. Yet, influenced by praise from others, including producer Trevor Horn, he began to second-guess his own judgment. If someone else saw brilliance in it, perhaps there was something he was missing, or so he thought. Looking back, McCartney can laugh about it, but there was a time when he genuinely feared that Bip Bop might cast a shadow over his legacy. By the late 1980s, he saw it as the lowest point of his songwriting, a stark contrast to masterpieces like Here, There, and Everywhere, Yesterday, or The Fool on the Hill. That contrast, in his mind, was jarring. The journey from timeless classics to something as slight as Bip Bop felt almost surreal and perhaps a little unsettling. And yet, in the grand scope of his career, Bip Bop is barely a footnote. If anything, its existence says less about failure and more about the impossibly high standards McCartney holds himself to. After all, an artist capable of writing some of the greatest songs in modern history is bound to have a few missteps along the way. In the end, Bip Bop doesn't define McCartney's legacy, not even close. But his willingness to call it out, to critique his own work so openly, reveals something far more important: a relentless commitment to excellence that never faded, no matter how legendary he became.